Hello and welcome to my video, Emma's Life in Norfolk. Only we are on a journey from Norfolk and we're back in the northeast. So I thought I'd show you a little update as to how we've got on. Now there's still lots to do. I am exhausted after today, the amount that's been done. So you can see the fireplace there has been filled in. Plasterer is very poor, very disappointed in the plasterer. You can see all the walls have been skimmed, and we've done one coat of paint, but that was done last time. You can then see they opened the bedroom doors, unfortunately, which I'd asked them not to because I'd hoovered in there, but there you go. So one coat of paint in the landing, and then you can see in the bathroom. Now the person that did the bathroom and did the tiling, I'm happy. I think he's done a lovely job. So I've still got to do the flooring, of course. That's going to be done in a couple of weeks. Very pleased with the finish. Put the radiator in. All the electrics have now been completed with the fan. I've got a strong fan to help with ventilation. This wall needs to be painted. My husband did that today. He's done a lovely job of tiling all around the window. Toilet fits really nicely. I think the only thing that's disappointing in the bathroom is where some of the plasterer has not done a very good job. Lots of things up in the landing, just rubbish. They had dumped some things in the spare bedroom, but it wasn't really dirty, so I shut the door after that. And then you can also see piles of rubbish sitting at the top here. But otherwise these bedrooms remain the same, so there's nothing more to do in these. I'm going to shut those doors. For some reason he's put in part of the bath panelling in there. Wasn't quite sure what that was, but he slotted that in. He said that this bath panelling was stronger. I'm not quite convinced, if I'm honest. And then I need to sort out the piles of rubbish, and I need to hoover up and clean up, because even though we're not keeping these carpets, it's really important that we keep on top of all the mess. And the plasterer seems like he can do a neat job sometimes. You can see that little bit on the stairs has been plastered. Seems to be by choice, or otherwise maybe he's got someone working with him. So one of them can do a good job and the other one does a bit of a bodge. So there's loads of things in the kitchen, but I'm very pleased with the finish on the tiles. The tiler that we used was superb. It's done a really good finish, so very pleased with that. I hadn't realised that all of the workmen would be leaving all of their rubbish behind, so that was a big surprise to us. So there's lots to do there because they just put all the rubbish in the same bags and same containers. Bags of plaster, loads of things. So you'll see me spending some time sorting it all through. Now I wasn't quite sure what we were going to do about this, and I did look to see whether I could get some quotes. Because we've got the bath as well and the toilet and the sink, and my husband said, oh, if we did this again we should get them to take them, but foolishly I hadn't checked that was part of the price. I had actually assumed that they were going to be clearing their waste and rubbish. You can see I've got my daughter's claw clip in my hair because I forgot the hairbands. Got one hairband which she's using. So you can see that I was sorting out all of the cardboard and then filling up black bags of rubbish. Now I thought, oh, the recycling centre is fairly close to here, so I was really hopeful that my husband was going to be happy for us to take loads of the things. And you know, we ended up doing 2 runs to the recycling centre. We managed to get rid of all the cardboard, all of the rubbish. You'll be pleased to know I was careful when I was lifting things. Me and my husband carried the bath together, so no video of that I'm afraid because I was carrying it. I should have put the tripod up, shouldn't I? He put the toilet in, the sink in the car, and yeah, we managed to get rid of everything. So very pleased with that, and I hadn't realised the recycling centre was actually very close to where this house is. So it's absolutely perfect. So when we did that last trip, we could have actually got rid of some of the waste around the corner at the recycling centre, but there you go. And then once I got all of the rubbish out of this lounge and out of the house, I then did some hoovering and cleaning. So as somebody said to me the other day on my other channel, I don't know whether you all follow me on my other channel, so Getting Tidier, somebody said to me the other day that using Henry really is a workout. Now I know for those of you that don't live in the United Kingdom, Henry Hoovers, I understand, are very expensive. But honestly, you wouldn't believe how powerful Henry the Hoover is. Such an investment. After using Henry, I wish I'd never wasted my time with Dyson Hoovers. It's absolutely fantastic, getting all the bits of plaster up and rubbish and dust. Scrapes all the hair up. The other day in my own house, I tried it out in my daughter's bedroom and got loads of her hair off the carpet. And here they very obviously had a cat. Because I turned the Hoover up the other way and there's loads of cat hair. So what my husband did was, before we came away, I used Henry in my own house, and he emptied part of the bag out in our bin, and then we brought it up here, and we're going to use the Hoover to clear up and clean up, and then we're going to put the whole of the bag in the bin, and then I'm going to have a clean one for when I next use it in my house. Obviously I bought it though to use for business purposes, so it's not going to be my main one to use at home, unfortunately. I'll still use my Dyson, but when my Dyson packs in, I might buy myself a Henry for my home. And then you'll see that once I start getting all this out, I've used up my very, very heavy duty bags. I've only got about 5 left, and I was very careful not to put too many things in. You know, after last time when I couldn't walk the next day, and I had to, all this stuff that's just been, I just think some workmen don't think. A, I've been very lucky that there hasn't rained heavily because the bath would be partly full. And B, I had to then spend all this time sorting out all the rubbish from the recycling, etc, etc. But I guess from their perspective, they just think, oh, just dump it all outside. But I can't tell you how pleased I was that my husband insisted that we got rid of it all. I really, really feel so much enjoyment about getting rid of all this. Just as I was about to ask for a quote from someone locally to come and collect it, but incredibly we managed to get the bath inside the car, so I was really, really pleased. So you can see here the plasterer has done a lovely finish on this wall. I just don't understand. It's like he is capable of doing a decent finish. So here it's really good, but in the lounge it's a complete and utter bodge. So I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. So I then went, partly I don't want anything more to do with that plasterer, but then the other part of me, I do want him to come back and correct what he's done, but there you go. So I was going all over this floor, because although we are not keeping this carpet, and it's going to be boarded out and it's going to be lino, if you start allowing mess to build up, any other workmen that come in, they just treat it like rubbish. They treat it with no respect at all. Whereas if you've cleaned it all over and it looks fairly decent, they try, some of them try, not to make it a whole lot worse. Although, to be honest, when we came up last time, you would have seen me cleaning all this with Henry. And I've only had, the tiler for the kitchen, tiler for the bathroom and the plumber in, and everywhere. I mean, there's lumps of stuff in the lounge and all sorts. But anyway, I spent a decent amount of time cleaning it all up. And Henry is so powerful, it just picks up everything. And it's quite an enjoyable sound, because as it picks up bits of dust or brick rubble or plaster, you can hear it click, 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 click in the hose pipe. I find it quite relaxing. I know that's strange, but that is a real sense of achievement when you see it all disappearing into the Hoover. I also hoovered just outside the doorway. So just outside the door there was like bits of dust, little bits of brick rubble, bits of paint and cat hair. So I leant over and just cleaned it on the edge. Super. So by the end of the time that I spent in here, I did spend quite a long time, it looks loads better. Now, as I said, the things that we've got left to do is we've got some odd jobs. So I've got a man who's been recommended to me to do some odd jobs for me, and I'm having several new floors. So I'm having the little porch area, I'm having new flooring, then I'm having kitchen diner, it's having like boarded out and having lino. The lounge is going to be like a grey colour, hall, stairs and landing is going to be a grey colour, and then I've got some really nice lino for the bathroom. The 3 bedrooms we were going to get redone, but we're not, and the reason of that is we've had a couple of additional expenses, and all those 3 carpets, they're out of date, a bit old-fashioned, but they're clean, so we are planning to leave them. And tomorrow I'm having 3 people come and look around the house that are potential tenants, so we'll see how that goes. I should think I've had about 140 messages. Now I've taken the last sort of couple of years, I've taken a bit of a different approach. If I get a message which says is this available, I don't reply, because if you get in one day you get 50 messages that says is this available, it's just a waste of time. When my advert actually says if you are interested in this house, please provide your current situation, where you work, and a little bit of information about yourself. So when they just send me a message, is this available, I know that they haven't even been bothered to read the advert. So that means that I can't spend the time replying. Then I'd say probably one in every 40 messages I get one really lovely. That's one that says, for example, hello, my name is Lauren, I really love the look of your house. I'm looking for a house for my husband and 2 children. We're trying to move back to the local area to be closer to my mum. I work here, my husband works here, and we'd be really interested in viewing your house. They are the sort of adverts they're sort of the replies that get an immediate response from me. I ask a few questions and then I say, yes, I'd love you to have a look round. But I did message the people who are due to view, and I just said, just to let you know, I'm still waiting for the flooring and I'm still waiting for a few odd jobs. They said they were still very, very keen to view. So I'll see how that goes tomorrow, and I'll give you an update at some point. So you can see I've now done all of the landing. Like I said to you before, this would have been pretty good quality carpet when it was put down, but of course it's heavily outdated and worn now. So I decided just to go all over the bathroom. Of course this flooring is going to be covered, but I just don't like the thought of new flooring and board being put down on something which is really dusty and really dirty. So I went all over the bathroom floor, cleaning, and yeah, I went right round in the edges. There were some bits in the sort of the gaps where part of the old-fashioned lino's come up. There was loads of dust and all around the toilet. So I spent quite some time going all the way through that. At one point in the minute, I closed the door and forget that I've got the camera there. So you'll have to excuse that. I remember after a bit, and I open the door again so you can have a little look, and then I move the camera around. So I hope you're enjoying seeing the work that I'm doing in stages. I certainly find it pleasing to see that things are progressing. I am behind from a project management perspective. I'm probably about a month behind where I'd like to be, but sometimes you just have these things come up that are unexpected. You just have delays that you have to build in contingency time. And then I thought I'd just let you see that while I'm busy cleaning, my husband was doing that painting. And then I came in here and you can see how, even though the light's coming through to the window, you can see how dirty the window is. The only thing, if I was to really pick holes in the tiling, there's one bit that I'm not very happy about, and that's where he's put the silicone partly over some plaster, whereas it should have all been cleaned and wiped down before the silicone was done. But that's a very minor thing really. They have done a lovely job, so I definitely use this plaster and definitely use this tiler again. So I'm using some little old wipes up, wipes that I bought from last time when we were getting prepared to come here. They're only small, but they're not as wet as some of the others. Some of them are a bit too wet. So I'm actually cleaning up all the plaster that the plasterer has managed to spray everywhere. And there's also a few bits of paints that I'm just chipping off the window. But I went all over them, like with a white cloth, and then I just got a tea towel and wiped over with the tea towel. You can't really see the improvement on the video, but I made a big difference to it really. It did look much better once I'd done this. And then the lovely tiled windowsill, which I'm so pleased with, I wiped over that. The only thing that I've just now thought, and I need to check with my husband, is we've not got anything up for blinds. If we put anything up for a blind, that's going to mean that we're going to drill into those lovely tiles, which is a bit nerve-wracking, isn't it? I certainly don't want the tenants to start drilling into tiles, so I have to think about that. I've not thought about that until just now. So once I've finished cleaning that, you'll see the boot absolutely laden, and that was the second run that we did, the recycling centre. Oh, and it's so funny at the recycling centre, when we got there, that said that you need a bill in your own name. Well, of course, we've not had anything come through yet, have we? So I brought a bill with me which said to the occupier, and it also said all various signs and checks that they're going to do, making sure that you're taking the right things. But there was 2 people there, and they appeared to be on a permanent break. They were both on their phones, and I said to my husband, right, we've got to be quick. Get out all the things first. That, I mean, if this was in Norfolk, you're only allowed 2 bags of DIY waste. Well, we probably had 4 bags, 5 bags, but they were small bags. So if they said anything, I'd have just said, well, it's because of the weight. I've had to split them into more bags, but actually I could put them all into 2 bags. Then when we came back again, because again there was no checks, there seemed to be no problems. But I think it's because it's just very different up here. Whereas in Norfolk, they're really strict on what you can and can't take. Whereas, yeah, we put the sink, the toilet in, the bath, some carpet. So I felt really pleased that we'd got rid of it all. So you can see at this point, I've done all the stairs, cleaned all the stairs, now cleaning all of the hallway. I'm doing all this and sorting stuff out and clearing stuff out and getting all the waste into the back garden while my husband's been painting. So he's painted in here. Look, you can see that's all had its first coat. He then goes upstairs and paints the bathroom, and he's also done the hall. So we are getting there. He's also built, can you see with a thing with a green cover? That's a TV stand that we bought for this in order to cover up that mess in the corner. We didn't quite realise that was when we took that awful sort of fireplace. We didn't realise that was going to expose that mess. So that has caused us more work than what we realised. But we've just bought that cabinet. That's going to slot in front of that gap. And then I wanted to show you this. It's not come up as much as what I wanted really, but you can see how well the Hoover picks up all the dust, the plaster bits, brick rubble, all sorts. It picks it up really. It's like nothing is too much trouble for Henry. Henry just keeps on going. I'm very impressed. So I managed to kind of clean all of this, and you'll see that I then go over the Hoover because of all this cat hair. It's got quite bad, and it did make my daughter wheeze, but I don't think it's the cat. I think it's the dust from the Hoover and these old carpets. That's what I think. Probably years and years of dust. So a couple of odd jobs that I've got a quote for in here is I'm getting the skirting board sorted on the fireplace in here. I'm getting skirting board finished in the kitchen diner. I was going to get a little bit kind of slotted in, but he said that he's going to be able to take the skirting board off very carefully, not damage the plaster work, and put another bit there. And then do you remember me showing you the plastering bodge around the bathroom door? He's going to correct that and put a new bit of skirting board on. So that will make that look much better. I have got a quote and I've paid the deposit for that work, and he's booked it in for me. But also my gate at the back the gate post is rotten, so I've asked him if he can replace that, and the side gate is broken, so I've asked him if he can fix that, so that'll be a few more jobs done. Then you know the fireplace section in here, which is of a different level because it had that mantelpiece. The people who are going to board the flooring are also going to do a little bit of board in that section. I don't know where all the dust is coming from. I guess it's because of the amount of work we've been doing. But my daughter, when we were up last time, she got wipes and she cleaned all this windowsill, and it was really good, really clean, lovely. But it's all filthy again, really filthy. So I went all over that and cleaned that. There's a couple of fire alarms that we need to put up. One fire alarm I think we need to put in the bin. But I also decided to open up the blinds to get lots of light in. I think it's important that when people start then coming to have a look at the house, that the house feels really full of light. That was all dusty as well, so I cleaned the doorstep. And then I started painting. So you can't see that well. I have done a close-up, but the plasterer, oh boy, where he sprayed plaster everywhere. Some of it I had to use wipes. Other bits I just went over and painted. This is wallpaper, and if money was no object and we were living here, I would have probably had this paper removed, but money is an object and we're not living here, so all the bits of the plaster I either wiped off or we just painted over, although the paint that I started with was actually the plaster paint, so it wasn't the one which was stronger, so I had to redo it. But I went all over this section, went over the other corner. It looks like someone who lived in the house has like spilt coffee all up the wall. So me and my daughter painted over that. And then there was a bit of plaster mark in the other corner. And then also some plaster marks in the kitchen diner. So I managed to get quite a lot of painting done as well. So thank you very much for watching my video. I do hope you enjoy seeing the progress that's being made. I will be uploading another video when we take everything out, because it's going to be a significant improvement with the amount of work that we've done. So we're going to the house tomorrow where my husband's going to do more painting. I'll probably do some painting. Going to meet these new people which are going to potentially be tenants. So that will then be the end of my project. So the project is really to refurb the house, get some suitable people in, and then my work will be done. Then right at the very end, if you stayed this far, I do a little clip of where we're staying. So there's a murmuration in the sky which you can just about see. You can hear all the birds, and then I take you on a little visit to the accommodation, and you can see how green it is outside our window, how it's near a working farm. And it's beautiful really. There's lots of fields around here and lots of horses. So please let me know what you think. Have you enjoyed watching my progress so far? As I said, there will be one more video where I'll show you, because by the time we finish tomorrow we will have done all the painting. That's what we're hoping. And then we will be on our way home via Birmingham. So we're looking forward to that. Just before I go, I thought I'd just mention about the regional accents, because I think for some of you are in the United Kingdom watching this, quite a lot of you are, about 35–40%, but the rest of you are from around the world. And the English language varies so much in terms of dialect and phrases, and there's lots of things that people say in the northeast that we don't say. So for example, today when we were going to the Tesco checkout, we asked a lady something and she said, "Nay bother." And people always say, "See yous laters," rather than "see you later." Another one that we're not quite used to is "why I man," or "why I." And you regularly get called pet. Alright, pet? So I might start incorporating these little phrases into my videos. Alright, pet? Why I man? I just think it's lovely. And they're such friendly people up here in the northeast. And the other little thing that they say is something's canny. If they think something's good, they say canny. Aye, canny. It's just incredible that there's very, quite considerable differences in different parts of the United Kingdom. So I hope you've enjoyed my video and my update. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.